Yeah, so I think most basic, and including applied actually, scientific problems, medical problems as well, benefit from international collaboration just because we're stronger if we work together. And of course, humankind is very diverse. So we should include as many people as possible from as many countries as possible to make progress. So I've lived in several countries where there are both minorities as well as indigenous populations present, and so including them in a respectful manner that is especially respectful of their culture and benefits them is absolutely critical. For example, when I was in Ecuador, I launched something that's called RED, which is Red Ecuatoriana de Genómica, which will be a network for genomics. In Ecuador, there are both indigenous populations, but also Afro-Ecuadorian descendants from enslaved people who were brought over to cut down sugarcane. So Ecuador, for example, is one of those countries where one has to deal respectfully and mindfully with indigenous as well as minority populations. So I'm going to focus on developing countries, LMICs, low and middle income countries, since I've already spoken about Ecuador. But Latin America is something that has a soft spot in my heart. And so the challenges for rare diseases in Latin America and by extension in LMICs or developing countries are very different from the ones in developed countries. So newborn screening in Latin America is done in only about half of the countries. So the other half don't even have newborn screening. So we don't know how many patients there are with rare diseases in countries that don't have newborn screening. And the countries that have newborn screening, they do maybe a handful of tests. Well, in developed countries, that's usually in the range of 50 to 100. So that's a real challenge. And genomics could possibly help with sort of modernizing and leapfrogging newborn screening. So yes, so the peer review system is essentially built on unpaid labor from volunteers. And whenever I've been offered monetary remuneration, I've actually turned it down because I wanted to continue to be unpaid so that I have no conflicts of interest. But I can tell you that as an editorial board member, I often write personal emails to reviewers because they don't respond to the emails that come from the automated systems that are used to invite reviewers because they're so impersonal. So that's one of the biggest challenges I face. And so I actually have that right in front of me for some articles. For one article, I invited 36 referees, 11 declined, 4 accepted. So that's 15. So less of half of the reviewers invited even responded, took the time to respond, whether they declined or accepted it. And then often I have to write emails to them. Would you please send in the review that was overdue 3 weeks ago? So it is an issue. So basic science, I think, is fundamental to making progress in everything, including rare diseases. So people should not neglect basic science, but of course, what we then also need to do is to translate basic science discoveries into medical progress. So for clinicians, I think having an interest in basic science is very helpful, and being aware of changes in basic science and technology, how to apply that, and to how to apply that then to clinical practice. And similarly, for basic researchers to be aware of what is happening with diseases, and we're talking specifically about rare diseases, and how the science basic researchers are doing can be applied to basic research. Now, for young investigators, I think the most important thing is to go to scientific meetings, see what's happening, see if there's a niche for them where they can make a contribution, and then advance research into rare diseases.